Well, my name's Keith Prisbaki, and I'm 34 years old. I just turned 34 in May. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I work at Pizza Hut. I'm a manager. Been a manager for about a year. They're off and on for 5 years. And honestly, actually, that's kind of what got me here. I was working there and couldn't stabilize a job with my use. And eventually ended up going to rehab once or twice off and on. But what actually brings me here is I started doing heroin when I was 16 years old. I started drinking and smoking weed when I was 10, but the drugs really kicked in around 16, 17. Started doing heroin. Never snorted anything like that. I went straight to the needle. Shot up heroin for years. There were times where I would come off of it for a little bit, off and on. Not really switch my drug use, but just maintain with other substances as far as opiates, Vicodin, morphine, Oxycontin, anything like that. I was prescribed that for a few years. My daughter, who I had in 2006, well, she was born in 2006. I was heavy into my use, very heavy, and continued to stay heavy, and somehow, some way, I managed to be a father at the same time. Oddly enough, I know that most people wouldn't think that someone could be a father and a drug addict at the same time. Somehow, some way, I was. But it got to the point where I was dying. I would take more than I'm also an alcoholic, so I would drink and then also do heroin, and then alcohol suppresses your lungs, and so does heroin, and it would kill me. I would overdose. I've overdosed 27 times. I've died 11. They brought me back several times. And then my daughter finally, I don't want to say finally, like she finally came to it. I finally, she sat me down one day and she said, "Dad," and I said, "Yeah, baby." She said, "I want to talk to you." I said, "Okay." She said, "Will you please stop doing the things that take you away from me? You know, going to jail, going to rehab." I mean, it was consistent. You know, every few months it was either jail or rehab. And I told her, I said, "Okay." And at that point I was on probation for heroin. And I went to rehab, and I got out, and I couldn't do it on my own. I couldn't. Everything that came at me, it was too much. And I was scared. I was alone. Everyone was looking down on me. And I decided that, you know, I had heard about a few people getting into the program as far as Suboxone or Subutex. And I was like, "Oh man, I don't need that shit. You know, I can do it on my own." And I kept failing. And then finally I was like, "Okay, let's try this." And ended up coming to Dr. Sandra and got me on the program. And the first few months was great. The only problem that dropped off was personal. And I didn't relapse per se, but I did do drug use during that just to keep myself going. And then I ended up fixing everything. My job was put back together. Came back to Dr. Chandra and got back on medicine. And since that one point right there, here we are 1 year later. And I'm a manager at my job. You know, I get all the hours I need, sometimes more than I want. I see my daughter every single day. I'm able to pay for anything she needs and anyone else needs at that. I have a bank account. I've never had a bank account before. You know, I got rid of all the friends that, you know, that weren't friends. And with Dr. Chandra, with him continuing the every 2 weeks was the best for me, because it was able to me to come in, talk to him, hang out with the nurses, talk to them. Like, all of them just made me feel welcome, feel important, feel needed, feel accepted. And for the last year I've been on this medicine, and my life is completely turned around.